Ladies and gentlemen, Barry C here with another cryptocurrency video, and XRP is going to go parabolic. It's going to skyrocket when people least expect it. Now, it's interesting, ladies and gents, because we've seen this happen once before quite recently. We saw it happen in November of 2024. And the most fascinating thing for me is that despite the numerous amounts of information we now have at our fingertips, the fact that we can go on CoinMarketCap and look at the XRP charts from 2017 until now, we can see the fact that we've had two bull run bear market cycles. And it's not like we're back in 2017 where we saw altcoins starting to be listed and everything was reactionary. We didn't have an established precedents set for bull runs and bear markets and how the market would work. So we're in 2025, and let's even use 2024 as an example, because that's when we saw XRP take everybody by surprise. You had historic charts and data from 2017 until now. You had two bull runs play out and bear markets play out in an almost identical fashion. We had a precedent set. And so you could go back and look and see that after a Bitcoin halving event, it's typically October, November, December when the market starts moving. Now, combine that with the fact that as a content creator, I had been saying this almost daily, that have a plan and work towards October, November, December of 2024. And of course, the typical responses I received on an almost daily basis was, you don't know what you're talking about, XRP's dead, XRP will never skyrocket again, it'll never have a bull run, it will never see an alt season, it will never go back above $1. You name the negative narrative, people were happy to push it. And then, sure enough, we get to November 2024, and XRP absolutely skyrockets. It leads the first leg up of the alt season. It goes from 50 cents to over $2.50, $2.60, $2.70 in the space of a month. And despite the initial euphoria, the main sentiment we saw from the majority of people was, I wish I'd bought more XRP. People said they wish they could have done things differently. And in some instances, people said they wish they bought XRP in the first place. A lot of people made a lot of really bad decisions. They fell for the negative narratives, despite the fact that it's quite easy to go back and look at the way XRP has performed in bull runs, the way it's performed in alt seasons, and as simplistic as it may seem, and I mentioned this in my last video, XRP is cheap until it's not. And I know that seems, as I said, overly simplistic, and it may seem laughable, but people keep making that mistake over and over again. It's the same thing I've been highlighting non-stop, because it's not like people look at the charts, go through a bull run, go through a bear market, and learn from their mistakes. And we've seen this happen in a much smaller time frame with what happened in November 2024 and where we are right now in 2025. People are very quickly forgetting how quickly XRP turned around from October to November in 2024. And they lost the opportunity to accumulate a 30-cent XRP, a 40-cent XRP, a 50-cent XRP. Even now, you're still paying at least $2 per XRP. It's not like the market's tanked back down to 30 cents or 40 cents or 50 cents. And this is a really important thing to keep in mind, because of course in November 2024, when XRP started moving rapidly, that's when all the negativity went away. All the people who pushed those negative narratives for months or years, they all disappeared. And now they're back because the market isn't performing the way we hoped it would. And so, of course, the negativity is back saying, well, XRP is not going to see an alt season. XRP is done. In some instances, people are even saying it didn't even rally as high as its previous all-time high. There's always a reason to hate on XRP. And the people that it affects in a negative way are the people who are just trying to make the most out of crypto. People who are trying to navigate the choppy waters, the uncertain landscape of the crypto market. And that's why, for me, it's really important to look at XRP with a more simplistic view. And there is a purity and there is a benefit in looking at XRP with such simplicity, because it takes away all the extreme negativity, it takes away all the extreme positivity, and you're left with the bare bone facts and the more common sense approach to crypto as a whole and XRP. You know, I look at XRP as a crypto that stood out to me in 2017. It was the first finance-based crypto that ever existed in the market. Back then, even with the limited information that we all had as we rapidly tried to understand crypto, we could see that it was the number one crypto in finance. It was the only crypto that wanted to work with banks and financial institutions. It was the only crypto that actively wanted to have legislation, follow regulations to be adopted. It went against everything that crypto stood for back then. And it hasn't changed up until 2025. There's still a reason that XRP stands out from the rest. There's a reason why a lot of finance-based cryptos try to emulate, but they never do exactly what XRP does. Not at the scale, not with the scope, the vision. No other crypto has the potential of what XRP could deliver at an alt season level and a utility run level. And that's why you hear me say things like XRP is cheap until it's not, or XRP, have a plan, short-term, mid-term, long-term. Because I've been in crypto since 2016, and I see people get caught up in the complications surrounding crypto. It's very easy to get lost in the technical mumbo-jumbo, or the acronyms, or the splinters, or the ecosystems, or the tribes that exist within the crypto space. And not all of them are positive. It's very easy to get led astray. And that's why I've always said it's so important to look at XRP in particular with almost blinders on. And I mean that by having tunnel vision. And you're blind to the extreme positivity and the extreme negativity, because it's so easy to get caught up in both of those. And when you look at XRP in its most simplistic form, which is what it was designed to do, and the future potential of XRP, you feel that confidence knowing that there's something special about XRP as a crypto. That's why it stood out to each and every one of us. That's why we decided to take our hard-earned money and invest it in something that could pay off massively in the future. And ladies and gents, of course, not financial advice. It just goes back to my initial point, which is XRP is going to have massive potential price-wise in both this upcoming alt season and an upcoming utility run. And it's going to happen when people least expect it. Even if you look at the time frames of previous alt seasons, you still see a lot of people fumble that time frame. They haven't built the bags they want. And this isn't to be negative. This is just to highlight how easy it is to be swayed or distracted or deterred, whatever it may be. Something comes along that makes you compromise where you're heading when it comes to crypto. And people saw that in November of 2024. And they'll see it again in 2025. And that's why I always say, have a plan. Short-term, mid-term, long-term. Have goals. And be stubborn in your approach. Because everyone has a different result in mind that's going to change their lives. Different goals, different results, different take profit points. It doesn't matter what other people are doing, it matters what you're doing. And that's why it's so important to ignore those extremes, ignore the narratives that are being put out there, and focus on what you're building, how you want to grow, and what you want to get from XRP as a cryptocurrency. Are you in a position to take profit short term, mid term, long term? If not, can you improve upon that? If you can't improve upon that, can you hold? Do you have the time? If you do have time and you can hold, what's your strategy, mid-term, long-term? These are all the things to be asking. Why people are losing their minds because the alt season hasn't happened yet, and why people push those negative narratives about why you shouldn't buy XRP. It's what I've done. I've heard from day one in 2017 until now, reason after reason, excuse after excuse about why XRP is the worst crypto in existence. And I've used all the frustrations and the negativity to take a step back and go, okay, I'm going to work on my plan. Short-term, mid-term, long-term, conservative and crazy, to give myself the best opportunity and best foundation possible. So when XRP starts going parabolic and the market turns around, I am in the best position possible to actually make some life-changing decisions. And that's why people always get to the end of an alt season and they say, I wish I could have done things differently. I wish I had bought more XRP. I wish I had bought more crypto. There's always a sense of regret. And I highlight this because, as I said, despite my almost daily content, and despite people going, hey, you keep saying the same thing, people keep making those same mistakes. And that's why I'm making this content right now. When people need it the most, when people are second-guessing themselves, second-guessing their position, whether they've got holders fatigue or they're frustrated, we've all been there. I wish I had this type of content back in 2016 and 2017, where I was rapidly trying to figure out where I was going, what I was doing with crypto. Despite my gut feelings, I didn't have the education, or I hadn't educated myself enough so that my information and my understanding was at the same level as my gut feeling. So I wish I had content like this. And maybe this is the video that does inspire or help or keep people on that path. And not financial advice, ladies and gents, but for me it's about reassuring that we've never had a time in crypto where there isn't an alt season, and we've never seen an alt season where XRP doesn't perform extremely well. So don't let people shake you out. Don't make people make you feel like you should second guess yourself. Don't allow that to creep in. I know it's a lot easier to say than do. I know it's very frustrating. It's very difficult. The market's not going the way we thought it would. But here's the thing. The same way the market can dip quickly and frustratingly so, it can turn around just as fast. And the same way that people said XRP wasn't going anywhere, who were pushing that narrative for years and years and years until November 2024, the same people are pushing that narrative now. They'll be proven just as wrong now as they were last year. There's exciting times ahead for XRP, whether it's an alt season, whether it's a utility run, and where you don't want to be is on the sidelines. You don't want to be one of those people who get to the height of an alt season or the height of a utility run and say, I wish I could have done things differently. Have a plan, focus on building and growing. And if you have the ability to do so, continue to build and grow your XRP bags. And if you've exhausted all your resources because you've bought dip after dip after dip, then continue to hold. And like I said, ladies and gents, not financial advice, but you don't want to compromise your XRP holdings or your position because somebody put out a negative narrative. You want to hold on strong, hold that foundation, have your plan in place. So when things start getting wild, when XRP starts going parabolic, you're in the best position possible to make some life-changing choices. Now, as I said, ladies and gents, none of this is financial advice. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if you're curious about the other cryptos I hold outside of XRP, consider becoming a Patreon. Click the link in the description below, head across to my Patreon page, and consider becoming a Barry C VIP. There you'll have access to all my cryptos, as well as my buy, sell, and take profit signals in real time.